Hey everyone, and welcome to our first, what will most likely be annual, going over the trends. I'm Shannon here with the Venue Help Desk, and take a quick minute to welcome Tom Chelednik with Wedding Pro here with me today.
Thank you, Shannon, for having me.
Yes, we love, love, love. So, for those of you, this is the first time you're joining one of these power hours. One of the things we really focus on with Venue Help Desk is bringing you quality education. And whether that's from one of our helpers and partners like Wedding Pro, or it's me, Ian, and Paul teaching you, you can look forward to next year monthly sessions like this where you've got that opportunity to really learn and level up your venue. So, for those of you who don't know, what I was doing in my background before I joined and started and co-founded Venue Help Desk is I own a wedding venue search engine here in Central Florida, and it's called Wedding Venue Map. And the thing about why that's important in terms of the education, the help I bring to you is I spend a lot of time talking to engaged couples, but Wedding Venue Map is a free resource for them to use. So a lot of the great pieces and parts of that is that with us participating in anywhere from 20 to 30 wedding shows a year in the DMs, I'm having constant conversations with couples actually planning their wedding. And so they share a lot of what are they looking for? What do they want? What's their style? What are their frustrations with venues? And it allows me that opportunity to really listen to all of the things that they want to make sure that the venues know. And so from that, Venue Help Desk was born, which gave me that opportunity to bring that information to the venues of the world. And Venue Help Desk is really focused on bringing you tools, resources, helpers, education. We're in the middle of one of our amazing courses right now, the Tour to Yes Success course, really helping you level up your business. And so, venues across the country are really having a lot of the same problems. In the conversations we just recently were at Wedding MBA talking and teaching to a bunch of you. But the venues are struggling in the same ways. One of those is venue competition is really fierce right now. There's more venues coming into the market than ever have been before. And a lot of times they're like rinse, wash, repeating and copying what already exists inside of the market. Venues are struggling to increase their profits overall. And sometimes, if you've been in it for a while, you're stuck in that rut of doing the same thing over and over again. And so, we're here today to kind of bring you some of the different things you can be doing. Now, for those of you who are live with us, the chat is active and available. Make sure on that blue bubble you've got it set to everyone. So that way everybody can kind of see if you're asking questions and things like that. But if anything we say pops a question into your head, please feel free to drop it in the chat. We might stop and address it, but we might circle back around to it at the end. So ultimately, one of the best features and functionalities in terms of what comes out of Wedding Pro is their reports. Now, those of us at Venue Help Desk, we love data, 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 because it gives you actual information. And one of the things they do really well is take the time to survey the next generation. They survey couples planning. They survey couples that have recently already gotten married. They pull all of this data. And so, with the release of the 2025 Wedding Trends to Watch report, we decided we would kind of collaborate together and take Wedding Pros data from all their surveys combined with the real world experience that we're living over here at Venue Help Desk and wanted to teach you the different things that could really help you move the needle forward going into next year. So, what I mean by that is the first thing I want you to do is position your venue as a trendsetter, meaning that you really need to be the person moving forward and showing new stuff, the new shiny things that are out there in the market. Second is opportunities to monetize, right? Are you monetizing the different pieces and parts of these trends that we're going to talk about? And last up is to revamp your USPs, those unique selling propositions. I saw a note asking if I can make the screen larger. Can you guys see the screen? Tom, can you see the big screen?
I see the screen, but I sort of see all your notes also.
Better? Big screen?
Yes, there it is.
Okay, good. Awesome. Good question. Thank you for pointing that out in the chat. You get all the good stuff. We'll drop it in there. So that's what the chat's for. Perfect. Now you can see all the good big pieces and parts. So this is the first time we've ever done this. And if you've never been here for one of our power hours, we did one pre-wedding MBA. If you've never been here for a power hour, we're excited to have you. And thank you for joining us. So the three different types of venues this is going to be great for is anybody who's new to hosting events. So let me know down in the chat which one of these three you are. Are you new to hosting events? Do you want to be booking more events? Or are you a veteran event venue? Which one of the three are you? Are you a veteran? You've been doing this a long time. You just want to increase bookings, or are you new to hosting events? Where's everybody at? What's going on? Booking more. Love it. Veteran. Booking more. Yes. Veteran and want more bookings. We love it. Well, we have got you. So, you're going to learn all kinds of great stuff. Been now around a long time, but need to increase sales after a takeover. Perfect. Those of you who take the time to invest in this kind of education is the way you're going to grow the business. So I'm a firm believer in that couples are looking for something unique and different, right? And great venues are really need to focus on staying on top of the trends. There's kind of a one-up it attitude when it comes to as couples are planning, they're like, my friend got married, but I want something better, different, more. And they really care overall about the guest experience. So today we're going to share our top 10 trends for you and then going to give you ideas specifically on which one of these that you can monetize, which is the most important piece of all of this because it can help really boost your profits. So we're going to dive right in. Hope you guys are ready to go. And this is, the Venue Help Desk Wedding Pro top 10 trends list. So we're going to start off with Tom is going to start with trend number one. So what do you got, Tom?
Shannon, if it's okay, before I start there, because I see people in the chat that might not know me.
Oh gosh,
So
tell them all about you.
just real quickly, I worked at the Knot for 12 years, and in those 12 years, I had a bunch of different jobs, director of sales and training and enablement, and blah blah blah. But I traveled the country, meeting people like Chad and Brian and Tamara and some of these people on this call, and learning from wedding pros. Specifically, venues are my thing. I also sat on a couple of venue board of directors and venue advisory boards. And then one of them tapped me on the shoulder, and I left the Knot for a few years and became the COO of two wedding venues here in St. Augustine, Florida. So I know what it's like, right? Like on as advisory position, I know what it's like on the Knot from this side of it. I know what it's like to be in your shoes. We did about 330 weddings a year between two venues. So I get it. Okay, so that's a little bit about me to give me a little bit more credibility here with Shannon, who has all the credibility in the world. So before I jump into Gen Z, I also wanted to talk about like what 2024 has been. 2024 really has been like this perfect storm. Three things within it, and Gen Z is the biggest part of it. But the first one is there's less weddings than the years before. There's 2 million weddings happening in 2024. That's coming off at 2.2, 2.3, 2.5 million weddings during the COVID thing. So are you seeing less leads? Absolutely. You're seeing less leads because there's less weddings. Is there more competition, like Shannon said? Absolutely. There's more competition. The next thing is the economy. As many of you know, the Real Wedding Study for the Knot comes out in February, March timeframe. And this February, March, for the first time ever, the economy is playing a bigger role in weddings than ever before. Still plenty of weddings happening, still spending money, but people are a little more stingy with their money. And that shows in guest counts and things we're going to get into. But also, the big thing is this generational shift, this Gen Z that's happening, right? So those of us been around a long time realize that every generation, you have to change. If you're not changing to match the generational needs, you're going to die on the vine. Your profitability is going to really, really suffer. If you can freeze your business today and go 2 years in advance and look at your venues, your products, your marketing, your services, your pricing, your leads, your everything of it, it most likely has a lot of change to it. Change doesn't happen instantaneously with the generational change, but however, we are at a point now where this Gen Z is here. They're the marrying age. It's the golden age of marriage. So next slide, Miss Shannon. So 80 marriage is really continues to be highly valued by Gen Z. There's these fear mongers out there, Gen Z is not getting married, et cetera, et cetera. But they're now at peak marrying age. And it's an impressive 86% of respondents envisioning in their future. They want to get married. Of this group, next slide, Shannon, 58% of them intend to legally marry, while 28% are considering it. Marking this, it's notable. There's a 5% increase from 2023 to 2024 in people considering to get married. So don't like say that Gen Z is not getting married. The other thing what's interesting with Gen Z is, I'm going off script, Shannon,
Yeah.
is the fact that everybody for years and years, people describe their wedding as, the descriptor of their wedding as fun. I want a fun wedding. I want a fun wedding. I want a fun wedding. This year, for the first time, romantic has outweighed fun. They still want a fun wedding, but they want a romantic wedding. Okay. Why? Because Gen Z is unfortunately a large product of divorce. So they're romanticizing the idea of a wedding and they want this big, grandiose wedding.
Yeah, I
Nearly
love that. And
70.
well, I want to hit on, when you get data points like that from the people who have those notes, these are the kinds of terms and words you should be using when you're touring. When you are taking the time to meet with people in what your marketing says, your posts on social, right? Tom just dropped a massive nugget that we didn't have a slide for. So, like that word romance, romantic, fun still lives. We still want to have fun, but making sure that you're utilizing these terms in your sales process.
Yeah, absolutely. Nearly 75% of Gen Z at least take one action related to wedding before getting engaged. So the interesting fun fact there is our traffic starts to rise in October, November timeframe, and why they're anticipating the ring,
Yep.
right? Like they haven't gotten it yet, but they're anticipating the ring. So even before they got that ring, and that's consistent. Gen Z, millennials, that's
Yeah.
people wanting to go their wedding.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think it's making sure you're taking action on these tools. So, a few suggestions is they're looking for that inspiration in vendors long before they get engaged. So, it would be so easy for you to offer proposal packages. Like having that piece weekday, weeknight, fill in, last minute. Nobody's planning a proposal 7 months out, guys. So, there's opportunity for you as a venue to take action on this data, utilizing some of these points.
you mentioned proposal. There it is. Okay, you have the stat.
Yeah.
Go.
No, you got it. Go ahead.
25% of proposals are hiring a photographer or other vendor for their proposal. That's huge, right? 25% of 2 million weddings. That's a large number. I always look when I was, as an advisor to venues or whatever category, what other revenue streams can come in, right? Outside of the special day, what other revenue streams can come in? So this, think through that. Create a proposal package.
Yeah. And like Tom said, you can partner with the vendors that offer proposal services. So maybe, you're like, well, how do I find these people? Go look in your market. What photographers are already offering this? Like, can you partner with them in terms of even referring you after the fact? And also, I always think what's shocking is that most venues don't take advantage of the jewelry stores. Like jewelry stores in your market that specialize in engagement ring sales, like they're doing this planning in advance. I have a print publication with the map, and jewelry stores are a number one distribution. They sell the ring and give them the print publication for weddings. It's like, here's the package of all your wedding stuff. So is there an opportunity for you to be really getting the first step to get in front of them? All right, number two, what you got, Tom?
Micro weddings. They're gaining popularity, right? Like, and part of it is the economy, but the economy is tough, a little bit tough for people, but the guest count on average is still 115 across the country. In the Midwest, I'm still seeing, I talked to a venue in Pittsburgh, they might be on this call one night this week, and their average guest count's 250.
Wild.
That's like normal. Here in Florida, we don't see that. We don't see that anymore. It's pretty much flat compared to last year. But as we talk about, oh,
They're
Shannon's in
thinking.
her.
They're thinking about something different.
Okay, right. So you should be thinking about something different, right? Um, Micro weddings are up to 50 people. 57% of these are currently engaged in considering this option. Because the reality of it, they don't have a clue what it's going to cost. Some will find the money, and many of them will find the money, but some don't find the money. So you want to be able to have something to attract these type of people. Most people did it during COVID,
Yeah.
and then they got rid of it. I see venues across, they no longer do it because they don't think they need it.
Yeah.
Wrong.
No, I see a question down there. Micro weddings are technically defined as up to 50. So up to 50 guests, and the other challenge with that terminology is that while we've been really trying to use it, couples aren't using the words micro wedding. Like they don't Google search micro wedding. They search intimate, small. Like that's not the terms. Those are terms that we use as an industry, but they're not using those yet. Veronica said, what's the average length of a micro wedding? Standard length of the venue rental time? I think it's up to you. Like in general, a wedding of that size doesn't always mean that they still don't want to have a full time frame. It doesn't mean that they don't want to have a ceremony and then a 4 hour reception, right? I think you're thinking more elopements, and that's kind of that definition in between an elopement, which is really I'm just trying to show up, have a ceremony, and that's a lot of what happened during COVID. Maybe a ceremony with 4 people versus a micro wedding, which is still a full wedding. It's not the difference of it's just the difference in terms of guest counts. Does that make sense?
And then,
And you've got to be able to show it in your marketing. Like some of these pictures, it's
like,
super clear that like these venues have these types of events. So there's all kinds of actions you can take with this. One, you can offer some kind of all-inclusive elopement package, and that would be that super small, super intimate, but it comes with all the things they need. Maybe it's bouquets and boutonnieres and a cake cutting and a champagne toast, and it's a tiny show up. I'm in Orlando. We're a destination location. The UK comes to Orlando for these micro elopements. I mean, we have venues that only do this, and they do them every 2 hours, Monday through Thursday. Like they crank through them. Sometimes they do 10 to 15 of them a week, right? So, do you have an elopement package? Do you have intimate or micro wedding packages? Ian and Paul over at Madeira Estates, and I see they're down over in the chat. They have this big, beautiful, huge venue that really does seat 300. And so the average couple who's coming in wants a Saturday in prime season, if they have 50 guests, that's not their ideal, right? Because they're looking at the minimums and the things. But what they found is they were getting so many requests for these smaller weddings, they built smaller packages. They offered them in shorter time frames. If you're booking 6 months out or, 10 months out, or offered them during the week or on Sundays, right? Sunday through Thursday. You don't have to be offering your micro weddings on Saturdays. I think that's the biggest pushback we get from venues. I'm like, you don't have to do that. But expand those offerings for the couples that are still planning smaller scale celebrations. Like you're losing every piece of that business if you don't have something created for them. All right, number 3 is the wedding weekend. So, for those of you who don't know that before Wedding Venue Map, I spent 5 years of my life at a venue, and I worked at this beautiful golf resort. And when I got there, I would really spent the first 3 months working at the venue listening to the couples. And what I kept hearing was those were like, well, like, can we do everything here? Can we host a rehearsal dinner here and the whatever? And I really realized that what was my differentiator at that property compared to all of my competitors was that we had the ability to host a wedding weekend. And so I leaned heavy into that. We don't host 5 hour events, we host 3 day parties here, right? So when we say things that have to do um, the concept of weekend events. There's so many things that can go into a wedding weekend. And maybe your property isn't a hotel like mine was, and you don't have the capability to host all the things, but couples want the wedding weekend. So if you don't offer this and have the capability in your space, you've got to find the partners that do. So a lot of these things that are sitting here are potential revenue streams. So at our hotel, we did the welcome bags for the clients. They paid for them. They paid $10 a bag in every room, and we still made money on it. But we were able to sell welcome bags. Obviously, we did hotel room blocks. Now, maybe you don't have rooms. Could you have a partnership where there's a referral fee with your local hotels? Not just have a list to send them to, really narrow it down to your top two And are they giving you a kickback? Are they giving you a referral fee for those referrals? There's all different kinds of ideas. You can do things like welcome happy hours, rehearsal dinners. A lot of our couples at the hotel, they didn't really want to invite everyone to the rehearsal dinner. So they would do a small rehearsal dinner for the family, friends, and wedding party. And then they do a welcome dessert and coffee reception after the rehearsal dinner and invite all of their guests, right? After parties, after the wedding, after the event, the wedding after morning guest activities, day after brunches. There's so many different things that could work for your wedding. So think about the fact that you've got a wedding coming up in February, March, April. Maybe you haven't sold the Friday. The wedding's on Saturday, you haven't sold the Friday. Could you offer a rehearsal dinner package? Could you kind of have them come? Do you have a secondary space that they could use that's a little bit smaller? It's thinking about this is trending and the couples want it. So how are you going to create that opportunity for yourself? I do want to give a secret tip to this that at the resort I worked at, we partnered with our local CVB, which is a convention visitors bureau. And I was in Lake County, Florida, and the CVB had money, meaning they had grant money. If you were marketing to bring people to the county, like to enjoy things in the county. So we had a relationship, they had grant money. So let's talk about even our advertising on Wedding Pro. I could say that we want to invest $15,000 this year to advertise on Wedding Pro, and this is what it's going to cost us. And we would submit for the grant, and they would sometimes give us 3,000 towards it. Sometimes they gave us 5,000. One year it was a 50-50 split. But most of the time you have these local opportunities that have it's like local government or they have grant money that potentially they want you to use to market to bring people to. So don't hesitate to build. I see somebody down in the chat says they've got support from their CVB to be able to help bring. It's like free money. We got so much money in marketing grants from them because nobody else was ever tapping the resource. So what do you do knowing that wedding weekends are a thing? You need to decide which activities your venue itself can actually host. Develop packages specifically for this. Reach out to your current booked clients that you have for the next 4 months with these open dates and see what the options are. And if you can't host it, find partners. If you're not able to have a list of rehearsal dinner options, hotel room options, you really need to be able to support it. Because if the couples want it and you can't do it, help guide them to how they can have it. Do you have anything to share about wedding weekends, Tom?
Take the word weekend out.
Oh,
Wedding,
sexy.
right? Like I hear weekend, I'm like, no, no, no. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's Thursday, Friday. My daughter got married on a Monday. Her wedding, everybody started arriving Thursday, which
Yeah.
cost me a fortune because then I had to do something on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
You got married on Monday. You know what I mean? But and I have a venue friend in, I think it's in Boise, Idaho, of all places, but Boise, Idaho, and they're just a spot, right? It's just one room. It's nice, but it's one room. But they partnered with restaurants. They partnered with other facilities, fun activities, because it's about that guest experience, and they sell it all as a package.
Yep.
Here is your wedding, weekend or whatever you want to call it,
Your
wedding
3 day
party,
party.
event,
Yeah.
3 day party, right? Yes. So think through that too, because it's a revenue stream.
Yeah.
Right. And once you have it all planned and it's pretty in a package, it's easy to sell.
Yeah, the work is
Easy
to
to
put it
sell.
together, but if you've got it, but ultimately, if our goal is to close more leads, sorry, CVB stands for Convention Visitors Bureau. Somebody asked in they did the
Yeah.
chat, but the chat just came to us. So it's CVB is Convention Visitors Bureau. So we have a few in Central Florida. There's a county one, there's a city one. City of Orlando has one. The county has one. There's a lot of them out there. So go hunting. All right, number 4 on our list of 10 is including ethnic, religious, and cultural elements. Now, couples planning their wedding really want to kind of bring in. They're doing such a better job of bringing in who they are, right? Like them, their history, their family is all becoming part of, the wedding process and the celebration. So this includes things like ceremony elements. If you don't know what some of these things are, the top left, it's a barat. South Asian weddings do. It's literally like a parade for the groom. Sometimes there's horses and fancy cars and elephants, or on the bottom left, you'll see a tea ceremony and a ketubah signing, right? You have to start gaining the knowledge of what these things are, Because when they show up and they're asking, do you have, if it's a Jewish wedding and it's a very traditional Jewish wedding, they actually need a separate room to sign the ketubah in together with their family and the rabbi before it has to be like a separate space. But do you have that available? So you have to have the knowledge of these things. The other things that are really important when it comes to some of these pieces and parts is color. So when you're putting marketing out there, weddings that are have a lot of, cultural aspects to them, they tend to be so much more bright and colorful than your traditional white, ivory, gold wedding. And so if your marketing's coming in and you're not showing any color, that can be a problem. You're not going to attract couples that are looking for things like that. Attire is also a really big piece of this. Many couples that focus on cultural weddings, they'll actually change, right? They'll start in maybe traditional attire and then change into, Western attire. Like they'll do the switch, they'll go Eastern to Western. Do you have a space available for that? Are there ready rooms available for them to go back into and change? Talking about the food when it comes to the cultural aspect. Like, can you handle the food needs of this is like a croquembouche, which is very traditional French. And do you have Indian, South Asian caterers on your list? The first time in catering, I learned about the challah bread that they have blessed the challah, but then you have to cut and serve the challah, and the challah's got to go to the tables immediately. Like, you've got to know these traditions as a venue. Do you have vendors that you can refer for traditional music, a dole player, mariachis? Like, have you built these kind of vendor relationships, things like cultural dancers? Because for the couples that this is really important to, they're going to expect resources from you. They don't just want a DJ. They want a DJ that knows and understands what their wants and needs are. So if you ever seen me speak, I'm all about taking action. I can teach you all day, but what can you do? First, I need you to take the time to educate yourself about the different cultural celebrations. The first time somebody came in and asked me, like about some traditions that they were like, well, where would you normally do the Sangeet? I felt so stupid because I didn't know what they were talking about. You have planners in your market that specialize in Haitian weddings, South Asian weddings, Nigerian weddings. You got to gain the knowledge. So, and it's all on the internet too, but sometimes it's easier. Have that relationship with the planner, bring them in. Also, please take the time to make sure that your vendor list is well rounded. One of the biggest things that I find working with our venues in our local market is I'll look at their vendor list. I'm like, these DJs are great. Not one of them speaks Spanish. Like, not one. So, who knows the Caribbean music on this list? So, if you're looking to be able to serve a bigger population of people, make sure that you've got bilingual people, people who know the cultures, and source those culturally specific vendors so you have them available. Because if it's important to the couple, you're going to need the tools to be successful. All right, next up is the unique vendor categories. Tom, this one's you.
This is me. But to Shannon's point, it's not just you researching, right? But you blog about it.
Yeah.
Show your couples that you understand that. A personal experience from my daughter's wedding. We're Polish and Slovak, and there's a bridal dance that only the bride dances, and they get, you form circles. And when we were looking for weddings for her, the venue didn't understand it. The venues didn't understand, but the one she actually ended up picking, they did the research, and she came back with said, yes, we can do this. So I also want to say in this study too, where we're getting this information from too is we get 21 million unique visitors per month, and we watch what they're searching. So they are searching unique vendor categories, which is, it aligns with what do they want? They want guest experience. So what are these vendor categories? Look for opportunities where maybe you can supply them yourself, or certainly have these types of experiential entertainment available or in a package for your couples. Experiential bartenders and mixologists, they're searching that. At the venue, which they're much smarter than I ever was or am, but the venues that I worked at, they had bar tastings. Part of the sales process, selling feature was when you sign up 2 months before your wedding, you're going to come in and you're going to have a sit down with our bartenders, and we're going to review your bars and your special drinks and all of that. That was experiential for the couple, and it that led into revenue opportunities. So they're also searching tattoo artists. I was on a podcast yesterday and we went off on a tangent a little bit about how this particular planner, who is a high-end planner, it wasn't temporary tattoos that he was seeing. He was seeing permanent tattoo artists, which that was new to me, right? Like a little odd to me that I love you that much and I'm going to get your date stamped on me. Um, but those temporary tattoos also important. Fire dancers is another searchable term. Again, guest experience. I know venues are cringing right now. You're certainly not going to do that inside, but if you have an outside space, they're searching fire dancers. The next thing that they're consistently searching, thank goodness for live painters. Live painters have been around a long time, and in my mind, it's like that's sort of that first experiential wedding that I ever went to that there was a live painter there. So that's becoming more and more popular. Make sure that's on your list. Content creators, uh, cons, you know, couples want to be able to share their content. They want to protect their brand though. So when you offer a content creator that's part of your package, like, how hard is it to hire a 28-year-old that knows what they're doing and, explain it, and you grab that money of being a content creator because they're consistently searching it and we're seeing it over and over and over again. So again, not only uh, the human aspect of it, we have the whole fur baby situation, dog sitters, right? Shannon and I, we talked about this. There's a dog sitter in Central Florida. I think it's $750, and they'll pick up your dog, they'll bring your dog, they'll pick up the poop of your dog, and then for 2 hours later, they got to get the dog home. But across the country, I am seeing more venues have very strict rules, some of them, of how long the dog can be here, where the dog can go, where the dog can't go, or kitten or whatever situation. And if you don't have that, if you don't have anything with pets in your website or talking about pets in a blog or social media, pets are a big thing. Get it out there. The last thing is like relationship counseling too. I don't know any venues that are also doing relationship counseling. However, building trust and building rapport and being a helpful resource to couples is important. So why not have some sort of premarital counselor to offer them on your list? Not maybe a package, but in general. Again,
Yeah.
this isn't like coming from the sky. These are the things that couples this generation that are looking for that you really should be putting into your opportunities to build trust and rapport. Financial coaching too, right? Like it's very interesting, right? Like this generation more than ever, they're willing to invest money. They're watching their money closer. They've seen some things maybe with their parents or family that didn't work out so well. So having that being a resource of more than just, hey, you're going to come in at 8 a.m. and you're going to leave at 10 p.m. or whatever that may be, of being a financial, just partner with somebody, put it out there. You have nothing to lose as long as you vet these particular people out and they're a good fit.
I love it. And, ultimately the goal is you might have a vendor list that's been around a long time, and there's nothing wrong with the people that are on there, but you've got to know that if the couples are looking for these unique things and you don't have them on your list, you look outdated, right? If you don't have these options available, you need to take the time to find and vet some new referral options that are in these categories. Not like one live painter. I mean, we have 6 in Central Florida now. Go find 1, 2, 3 different styles, different price points, add an experiences section on your list. Instead of it being
Oh.
like other, call it experiences. And they're like, oh, or unique experiences or something like that that really make their guests would want to do. And then decide really which of these options can you bring in house. A lot of times we'll find that people say, oh, I can't afford a full-time marketing person or a full-time, social media person. Well, could you, if they were cranking content on the weekends, they're shooting content for the couples and you're getting all that content that they can turn into content for your venue, right? Why not outsource that service? And then you've got the ability to charge for it and bring that revenue. Content creation, I know it's different person by person, market by market, but it's relatively expensive. They're charging upwards of $1,000 and more to shoot content that day and then give them 2 completed reels. We have a wedding planner here in Central Florida that After every wedding, she makes them like she just makes a real wedding reel for her own social media, but she gives it to the couple first, like gives them that completed. They get so excited. They write her rave reviews. Those are the kinds of things that are important. All right, we got through the first five. Yeah, go ahead. What do you got?
I want to make sure that Shannon, you all heard Shannon's nugget that she just dropped. Create a section on your website that says guest experience, unique experience, something to that point,
Yeah.
because we know that they're searching for it. And if they happen to find you, however they find you, and you see that, they see that, more maybe they're going to email you over somebody that doesn't see it. And maybe they'll never bring up a financial planner with you or a fire eater or
Yeah.
whatever those things are. But the purpose is what? That you are helpful.
They
They see you're
find you.
helpful, building trust and rapport. And the chances of them emailing you for a quote or a tour is higher because they see you as a complete helpful resource.
Yeah, we have
Great
a
tool. I'm
we
going
have
to use
a
that
we have a
forever.
blog on Wedding Venue Map called Unique Wedding Vendor Ideas. That's literally the whole blog post. And it got, I think last time I checked this year, it was at like 9,600 hits. And it was
Wow.
just like people searching. It wasn't specific to Orlando. It was just unique wedding vendor ideas of things that people never would have thought of, and they get really excited by it. So all right, number six is including eco-friendly and sustainable options. See, couples planning their wedding, they're not like super crazy granola that they need all the things, but they want to know, especially Gen Z, they really want to know that you care, that you're not being wasteful, and what things are you doing. So let me go through some of this stuff you might already be doing and you're just not talking about it. And so that's one piece of it. But others are some different ideas. So, first and foremost is reducing waste. You might already have some of these things in your venue. You might already have air dryers instead of paper towels. You might be using metered soap instead of, soap. It's so simple, but these are actually like reducing waste in terms of the things you're doing. Other is the fact that you have glassware and plates. If you're a venue that you only use glassware in the bar and you're not using plasticware, highlight it. Say that it's because that you choose that because it's more sustainable, right? When the hotel I worked at, this is such a crazy story, but I'm going to wrap myself out to you anyways. We didn't like to spend money in the summertime on air conditioning in rooms we weren't using. That was a wild ride when you went to do tours and you opened a door and didn't realize that the AC was off. So I'd have them stick their head in and I'd say, we're a green certified facility and we don't waste electricity on spaces we're not using. I mean, we were a green facility, but it was really because we were being cheap. But they were always like, oh my God, oh wow, that's great. They don't, but they cared when you shared it. So there's ways that you can do less paper in the things you're doing, electronic contracts, online files, digital documents, QR code program. Like you're probably using a lot of this already, and you don't think of it as sustainable. You think of it as convenience. There's also some really cool stuff now that I've seen couples do a digital seating chart where they print one sign. It's not individual cards and all the paper. And then when they scan it, it goes to an online of everybody's seating, right? So there's so many different opportunities to reduce the waste. Next up is recycling. Please don't make your trash cans look like this, but it's the best photo I could find. Are you recycling at your venue, right? Are you recycling paper? Do you recycle bottles, cans, things like that? Do you offer that? If you do, highlight it and talk about it and share it on your social and your marketing. There's also a ton of local composting options. So in our market, we've got a few. This is a catering company that features, they're one of the greenest caterers in North America. Like they filled this many compostable totes. It holds, 100 yards and yards of trash, and then it all gets recycled. We have two different companies in Central Florida, catering companies specifically, that partner with the local compost. And man, they book, and one of them is Brian, who's here with Celebration Gardens. Their venue also does it. It's such a selling point to the couples that care. It makes a big difference. Also, if you are doing catering or if you partner with caterers, look for people who offer some local and sustainable. It's not always possible to do 100% a local menu, but look for the people that have those opportunities and what of the items are you getting locally. Things so simple as smart thermostats that it's kind of set to timers and things like that, suggesting for couples not doing favors. There's a lot of different options instead of those favor. I mean, I used to tell couples, honestly, like I probably have boxes of crap left behind at weddings that nobody wanted. So think about where you do it, giving, but they need other options. They want to know what can we do instead of giving them a stupid wine cork with our name on it, right? So things like gifting to a charity, doing these, a lot of the artists and stuff will do, paintable portraits or caricature type things. Another thing we're seeing a lot starting to pop up is the photographers are offering a third photographer to come shoot for cocktail hour, and all the guests are getting a portrait from that day. So it comes in the gallery. Nothing's worse than the wedding gallery comes in and like they missed people, and you're like, damn, I know that person was there, but they're not in one photo. This would kind of be when you're sending the thank you, you can send a thank you note to them. Your couples can send a thank you note to them with all their guests. But things like digital photo booths. If I owned a venue, I would 100% have purchased one of these digital photo booths at this point. Like, not a photo booth that does print and paper and all of that, but man, why wouldn't you? It's easy revenue, it's in house. But things like late night snacks are better than a favor, right? Like it's not waste. Gen Z really wants to know that you care about doing something. Like they just want to know that you give a crap about the environment. You don't have to do all these things. You're not like, oh God, Shannon, I'm not going to compost. I don't care. I don't expect you to compost, but is there someone in your market who does offer that? So take action, make a list of things that you're already doing. Start featuring it in your marketing, your tour materials, talk about it, and, look for manageable opportunities for you to feature sustainability. Like, what is, like, realistically, what can you do? Tom, do you know, and do you have anything to share about sustainability?
Well, what I have to share about it is you like you said, you're most likely already doing some of
Some
these
of it.
things. You're just not putting it out there in any way. Is it part of my sales call on every tour? Probably not. But is it part? But I'm going to ask some questions and see if it's important to them. But when you're putting it on a website, when you're doing a blog with it, and if they just, that's cool, this venue does all these things, they're more likely to send you a lead. Don't get discouraged because you're putting all this out there and nobody says anything that's not important. You don't know really why all the reasons they sent you a lead. And again, this is a study. This isn't coming from Shannon or myself.
No.
These things are important for you to be able to connect with this next generation as we move into 2025 and beyond. So everything you said here is perfect. So the other thing is planning the wedding around a specific holiday or event, right? Back to like what Shannon says, getting the wedding, weekend, whatever we can call it. But we're seeing more and more weddings be planned around, 4th of July and Martin Luther
It
King Day
used
and
to be
all
so
these
hard,
events.
right?
Yes.
Those holiday weekends, like going back to when I worked at the venue, we used to have to like give them away. Nobody wanted them. They didn't want to get married around them. And now they're like planning it as an event.
Yep. So and again, like at my daughter's wedding. Honestly, we never thought of her getting married on Martin Luther King Day. Never on a Monday. Never said it. But then when that venue owner painted that picture to us and my daughter, I wasn't thinking money at that point from all those extra days. But we jumped at that idea. So sometimes it's just a matter of painting that picture. When I was growing up and somebody or younger and going to weddings and somebody had it on the 4th of July or Memorial Day or whatever this, we're like, nobody's going to show up at that. Why would I want to spend my holiday weekend with you? But also, wedding sizes are going smaller and more intimate. So these are the people that you probably do want to spend a long weekend with. So don't forget about those holidays. And
Yeah,
you
you
should be
got to
getting
know
money
them,
for them.
right? Like you've got to track, the holidays and also focus on your area's popular dates. I say that because of things like weather, right? I know in Central Florida, the first 2 weekends in November, there's nothing like they sell. Like it is the two of the most popular weekends of the year. But you've got to start paying attention to those overlapping dates that everybody's asking for and they're going after. So make sure you're tracking those on-demand dates. Right. One of the other things that came out of this study is people cared about lucky dates. I'm going to age myself, but 11 11 11 was a Wednesday And I did 16 weddings that day as a caterer in between all of the venues, all of the places we were doing food. But those lucky dates and those funky numbers, and lucky dates are like because like the zodiac said that it's lucky. And it's wild that Gen Z cares, but they do. Know also all your national dates. And I've got a secret tip for you because you showed up here today. So one of the things Madeira does, and if you grab your phone and you scan this, and I can drop the link down below. Or Ian, can you go grab the link and drop it down in the chat for everybody to see? This blog post is all of the dates for the entire year. So if you've got to do what Tom said, you have to paint the picture of why would they want those dates. A like silly stupid example was my niece is getting married and she really wanted 131/26 because she's like he won't forget it because it's 131, but it wasn't available at the venue she wanted. So the next weekend was February 7th. So I literally was on the tour and I'm like, oh, but like 2726, 2726. Who would forget that? 2726. So stupid. I just kept saying it until the point she was like, I like that. Guys, you've got to convince them why those dates are good dates. But this is such a great opportunity, the way, or May 25, 25. Oh, yeah. Good call, Megan. 5/25/25. She's gonna be a sexy one. Like those, the ones when they're the same backwards, forwards. Like pay attention because even if those are weekday dates or whatever, make sure you're not discounting those. You're selling them, not maybe raising the price of the premium, but getting as much as you can for them. All right, next up, Tom. These are the crazy ones that we roll our eyes at, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, I roll my eyes at this one because we all know, well, Shannon knows how much I love going to theme parties. Now I'm going to be, now I have a strict dress code to get. So again, these are the things that couples are actually searching. It's not coming from anywhere else, but guess color palettes, right? What colors do they want at the wedding? They're creating Canva templates. I recently went to the WIPA event in New York City Gala at JFK, and there's a woman there that I met that created, all her job is to do to create mood boards and suggested attire for weddings, right? Like, so, and she's really, really busy in doing that. Guess what? She's on, I said, where do you get your business? She said, from venues. I said, aren't you doing SEO or anything? She goes, no, I'm on venue lists,
Yeah.
and then, it comes in from referrals. So, all of these things become really, really important to, again, partner with that couple and be a resource. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
And I mean, I think like you look at, how do you, knowing that they're doing this, um, you're looking for that trendy couple. You're looking for that who's like, they look like fashion forward, right? The fashion forward bride really cares that this is how her photos come out. The couple spending a lot of money on photography, they want it to look cohesive and have that perfect look. They're sending out these cards of things. So a few things you can easily do. You can create mood boards specifically for your venue of different style, like whether it's black tie, semi-formal, cocktail, relax, whatever that is. You can create mood boards. But you could also create Canva templates. I literally, while writing this presentation, popped off this Canva template below, where it's just like you give the couple the template to use. They can change the font, change the colors, but it's already built, right? You're giving them the tools. It's freebies, ways that you can help them. Go ahead, Tom.
I'm thinking lead magnets, right? Like
Yes.
imagine you as a venue that created these mood style boards of different colors, et cetera, et cetera. And they go to your website, they find your website through the Not Wedding Wire, they find your website and they click on the, get your free mood board specifically for this venue. All of a sudden they fill out that information, and the email becomes a lead for you. You're being
Yep.
a resource right from the very beginning and being helpful. So
Absolutely. I
great
love it.
idea.
Number 9 is cultural trends that are influencing weddings. It's so wild the things that are happening in pop culture and what's out there that it really like you need to like know that you listen, right? Like you need all these wedding shows. I listen to the crazy crap they're asking me for. And They kept on giving me, I was like, what's the vibe of the wedding? Because I'm trying to guide them to a venue. And they would use all of these words. And finally, it took us a little while to figure out that they were talking old money, quiet luxury. They want to look rich and not be rich. That's literally what it comes down to. And so that manifests in different ways. It's the color palettes, that like blue gray color, soft greens, black and white weddings, metallics, gold and silvers, things like Chiavari chairs, chandeliers, those champagne towers. It is a vibe of old money, quiet luxury. And if you aren't offering any of those things, we had a local venue just called me and said, "Hey, who can I rent a black and white dance floor from?" And I'm thinking, you've got the prettiest wood floors I've ever seen. And she's like, "I know, but the couple has to have it." So I was like, wow, okay, all right, we can do this. So, having the tools and your resources to be able to provide this. TikTok dances are heavily trending when it comes to weddings. Just giving you a few examples, different ones that people do. It seems crazy, right? What are you doing to create an environment where TikTok dances are welcome and invited? So I'm going to give you some suggestions. Celebrity weddings. Now, let me tell you something, guys. I'm an old lady. I'm 44 years old. And I started looking up 2024 celebrity weddings. I don't know, most 98%. I had to tap all the kids who work for me. And I literally texted them and was like, what weddings popped this year? They were like, and I'm like, I don't even know who you're talking about, right? Like there's Jamie Foxx's daughter, Rebel Wilson, that one I knew. You know, the billionaires in Asia, they had $1 billion wedding. Did you guys see this? I saw that one when it popped off. But celebrity weddings, famous weddings, Millie Bobby Brown, the girl on the bottom, she's from Stranger Things and a million other things. These weddings matter because all of a sudden the flowers they do, the popular things, the next generation are seeing it. So you got to stay on top of that. Also, pop culture. Go ahead, Tom.
What's going to be, and if I had to bet money, Wicked. We're going to see all kind of trends with weddings with Wicked colors, Wicked songs, with all I've
Yep.
never seen the movie. I don't know if I'll ever go see the movie, but everybody's talking
Same.
about Wicked, right? Like, so Wicked is going to be the thing for sure.
Yep.
Our trend study came out before Wicked here a couple weeks ago, but
Yeah.
if it came out today, I bet Wicked would be up there.
In there. Oh yeah. I mean, look at what happened with Barbie. When Barbie
Yeah.
popped, Barbie was everywhere when it comes to events. Pop culture icons make a huge difference, right? Taylor Swift, the Michael said something like they had a 3,000% increase on bead sales this year from those freaking friendship bracelets. You know, you've got Sabrina Carpenter and Beyonce came out, Cowboy Country Beyonce came out, Chapel Roan, if you don't know the redhead at the bottom, like these things matter. So how do you take action? You guys are rolling your eyes at me because I'm glad I can't see you on Zoom because you're like, who cares? Right? So a few things that you can do to implement these things into your venue. Have great Wi-Fi and ring lights in your ready room. That matters when it comes to TikTok dances. You can give your couples a list of your favorite TikTok content ideas. If you're like, I don't care about any of that because you don't know. So get your butt on TikTok. Don't worry about creating content. Just get an account for your venue. Don't worry about making anything. Just start consuming the content. See what's out there, see what they're talking about. And then other things about celebrity and pop culture, follow publications that feature these celebrity weddings on social media at Vogue Weddings, at The Wed, at Carrots and Cake. Like stay in front of, so when these celebrity weddings pop, they usually are on those, on those platforms. Vogue Weddings is usually one of the biggest. Okay,
Bet,
last,
bet your
go ahead.
take bets on doing a blog on Wicked.
Oh
Do
my
a blog
God.
on Wicked. See if that works for you.
I'll put it into our list for January. Last up is the trending venue types, and don't be upset if you are not on this list, but we're going to tag team this one because this is what's hot. And Tom, what was hot when it comes to the trend report in terms of searches?
This is what they're searching. They're searching library weddings. Back to that old money or
Old money.
romantic or a royal type weddings, which lead into garden venues, lead into castles. Beaches could be romantic too, but mountain venues. This is what's being searched. If you're a barn, don't worry. There are plenty of people searching barns too. But this is what's heavily being searched right now on our
Yeah, but
sites.
even if you're a barn, it's like, are you a barn with an outdoor ceremony space that you can landscape a little bit more to give it more garden vibes, right? Like, it's like, how can you take these things that are there and like tie them in? Now, I did more of the SEO side of the search versus what the trends are on that side. And so these are some of the things that are popping in terms of the Google search. So Italian style, I mean, it's a lot of the ones Tom said also, but I wanted to give you more options. So Italian style, they really want to all get married in Italy, but they can't afford it. So Italian style, industrial, forest, woodland, intimate, which is that micro wedding, right? They're not searching micro, they're searching intimate wedding venue, small wedding venue, unique, and modern. So you can take action. So maybe you don't fall into these categories, right? But what about your venue makes it unique and different? You know, is it a modern wedding barn? Like, right? Like you just have to find ways to kind of take these things that people are searching for and tie them in. So taking action. If you are, smartly investing in Wedding Pro, the not Wedding Wire, or directory listings on a local, search like I have, use these words in your listings. Go look at your descriptions. Look at your descriptions even in like your Instagram profile. And if one of these really, like if your venue is a garden venue and you're not saying it enough, you should be using it. Feature these terms in your marketing everywhere you can. And then you can design SEO first landing pages or blog posts, right? So let's say you're a venue that's got an Italian Mediterranean vibe, but you're like, I'd rather rank for, ballroom first, right? Something like that. You're searching, you're going after different keywords. Don't hesitate to write a blog post about it. So the Italian style, Sarah does SEO. If you guys don't follow her, you should. She's a wedding pro educator. She's amazing. She in February, she usually does like an educational webinar that's about what keywords are popping. And she brought up the Italian style. So that month, my company, we cranked out a blog post. Italian style wedding venues in Central Florida. Sarah does SEO. Sara does SEO. She only does SEO for wedding professionals, right? She can overhaul your website. She's incredible, but she does a lot of education and teaching. So she talked about this Italian style wedding venues. So we wrote a blog post for it. Not only do I rank in the first spot in Google, if you search Orlando Italian style venues, the blog post ranks in the first spot. That blog post is getting 800 hits a month. 800. It's local specific. It's not general. They're searching Central Florida, like Orlando. Like it's getting 800 hits a month. So imagine if my local venues really went after Italian style, they could be getting that traffic, right? But they're not. So I scoop it all up and take it. But you've got to take the time to implement these things. You hear it, you learn it, and now what can you go do with it? One more thing that I think is important to touch on. Besides all of the trends, one of the most important things that you can do as a venue is to focus on your level of service, because there's so many different little opportunities of a few things that I've seen at venues, from the venues Tom has worked at, and venues that I tour and work with across the country, that really, ties things in. So there's a few little service things. One is a wedding day attendant. Having someone that is, if we get a lot of pushback, and we've talked through it in the tour to yes success course, that like why I can't tour on wedding day. And having that wedding day attendant, that dedicated person whose job it is to be at the beck and call, sitting on a phone checking in on the couples as they're in ready suites. A wedding day attendant allows you to sell more because you can be touring. So a wedding, but it looks like an amazing level of service that the couples get. Think basic, simple things like ready room playlists. I know it's so small, but putting a speaker in the ready room, making a Spotify playlist, this is that making their experience the best. So many little teeny tiny touches. And the last is parking support. This is a constant, the next generation Gen Z has massive parking anxiety. I know because they all work for me. And when we go to a networking event, they're like, where do we park? Is it a garage? Is it street parking? Do I have to parallel park? They ask me so many freaking parking questions. It's mind blowing. So it doesn't mean you have to offer a valet, but do you have a parking attendant? Or do you have like a field outside your barn, which is fine, but somebody's guiding them where to park so they know? Like these are tiny little things that you can do that will make a huge difference. All right, wrapping it up. Tom, do you have anything extra to share?
Um, Engagement season here is booking season here. I know some of this could be like, you might be thinking, but at the end of the day, if you take this and it's like crumbs, right? And picking up some of these crumbs and putting it into your websites and your blogging and your sales pitches and things like that. Crumbs eventually make a piece of bread, and bread eventually makes a loaf. So thinking it in those terms, it's not going to get easier next year. I don't think it's going to be any harder than this year, but it's not going to get easier. So like I said in the beginning, we have lots of changes happening with this generation, and all these things we're talking about is speaking to the generation.
Yeah, it's really about taking the things you're learning in all the spaces, but taking action on them. It's really by design, right? One of my favorite quotes, building a good customer experience doesn't happen by accident. It's by design. If you want to read, we only pulled bits and pieces out of this trend report. If you want to read the entire report, I will also, I'll tell you where the replay of this video will be, but if you want to see the entire trend report, you can scan and it's there. You can also just Google, Wedding Pro 2025 trend report. Special thank you to Tom from Wedding Pro. His email address. Make sure you follow him over on Instagram. He's on a tear this year to grow his Instagram following. So make sure you're following him on Instagram and both Wedding Pro. If you are here with us live or you missed it, all Power Hour replays that we do can be found in our Venue Help Desk Insiders group, an Insiders Network group on Facebook. So all the recordings, all of the follow-ups, if you ever want to share this with your team, head over to join the Facebook group so that you can be in there. And all the videos every month, we've got so much good stuff coming for you next year. They will always live within there. Save the date on next year's replays. The power hours are coming. There's so many awesome things coming. And so if you want to save the dates, throw them up on the calendar, but make sure you follow us over at Venue Help Desk for all of the things. I'm Shannon, and thank you so much for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure to be able to share all the fun trends. And thank you, Wedding Pro, for all the incredible data.
You're the best. Thank you for having us.
Mm.